Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to What the Hell is Water? Today is
Wednesday.
Hump Day.
Hump Day.
And it is also
Wednesday, May 11th.
Hey, look at that.
No, yeah, May. In my brain, I was like, oh, no, March. No, May. That was what you were saying yesterday.
What? Oh, I messed it up yesterday. Those
Yeah.
M's, right? Why couldn't they just have...
Yeah.
We got 26 letters in the alphabet. They couldn't have made them all different.
Well, I know. Then when I said May out loud just now, I was like, oh, my gosh, it's already like May 11th. That's like mid-May.
Oh, mid-May indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how is everyone doing out there? Hopefully you're doing magnificently. Today, we already talked about today. Yesterday for episode 95, we had a very special guest, Brittany Garcia, who is my cousin and a Harvard law student. And
I don't think you're saying, any of those words correctly, but especially law.
Harvard law. That's not how you say it? So yesterday we had Brittany Garcia on, who is my cousin and a aspiring law student. She just finished her second year, so she's about to go do her
Well, I mean, she's currently a law student. She's an aspiring law practitioner.
She is a law student who is aspiring to do things.
Oh, yes.
How about that?
Yes.
And so she's about to go do an internship this summer and then spend some time in Mexico to recover before getting back to the grind, which was one of the big things that we talked about with her yesterday was, man, how do you do all these things? She went to Cornell, and then which is an Ivy League school. She told us that Ivy League is just a sports league. It's not even like necessarily a conglomerate of fancy schools. It just happens to have a lot of good schools within it. But she said, "Take that, Stanford," and then she from Cornell. She's now at Harvard Law. So pretty good looking resume. And on top of that, she has done debate for many years and won a couple world championships, or at least one world championship rather, in Portuguese, I think, if I'm not mixing it up. It's hard for me to keep straight because she competed in English, Spanish, Portuguese, and then she created a team at a university in Vietnam and helped them go to the world championships as well. So yesterday we talked a little bit about how all that went for her and how did she balance or choose like what her priorities were in life. And she may have had an unpopular opinion with some people where she said she is not choosing to prioritize happiness strictly. And she said that's been a controversial thing with some people. And in high school, a lot of people were like, hey, your parents, man, they're pushing you way too hard. And she's like, no, I'm pushing me, which I thought was really cool. And the other good thing is that as she's been along her journey, she has had from people pushing back. She said she's gotten some really good constructive criticism. And one of those was, yeah, it's okay if you're going to push yourself, but right now when you're stressing yourself out, you're lashing out at other people, and that's not cool. And she said that was one of the best pieces of advice that she got, and she used that to help figure out other ways for her to get her stress out. And so that has been extremely helpful for her. And one of those things she happened to mention was journaling and writing. And, yeah, Danielle, what were your thoughts on when she said the journaling? Like, for me, I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then, I mean, when she said she had 90,000 words of journaling, I was like, well, that's more than a book. Like,
right.
my first novel, like, the minimum is like 60,000 words. So I was like, if you're someone who knows how many words you've written, like, make it a book.
Yeah, Brittany. So call us because we can help you turn that into a book. And that was 90,000 words just on her experience to Vietnam. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't think we explicitly said that yesterday. So make sure to give us a call, Brittany, so we can help you turn that into a book. Because I don't know if I mentioned it yesterday or not, but one of her aspirations for what she's doing going forward. So after she graduates, she wants to work at a law firm and potentially start a real estate business and potentially write a book. So those are all exciting things, but it sounds like she has a book that may already be written. And, she did a great job sharing some of her lessons with her yesterday as she navigated her own personal balance between work, life, friends, and things like that, as she's now recognizing one of the most important things is if you want to do more, and you want to try and strive for something, well, a lot of times the first step you need to do is cut things out of your life and to close certain doors. So I thought she had an amazing, a lot of really good points in there. That a lot of good life lessons, especially for someone who's only, I don't know, mid-20s. I don't know exactly how she is. I think she's 25.
She's turning 25.
Yeah, she's turning 25.
Making her think about 30.
I know, right? I was like, oh, yeah, you're so old. I mean, look at Danielle. Luckily, I'm still got my youthful complexion. So, besides those things, we talked about a whole bunch more. So, as we just shared in the chat, you can see the full episode below. And oh, by the way, if you didn't already, can you get a clip of that book message for Brittany so we can send that to her later? So. Anything else from yesterday before we hop on over? Oh, our challenge for yesterday, which, if I was smart, I would have pulled up on here before to make sure I knew it. Do you remember it off of the top of your head?
It's not that smaller text at the bottom, is it?
Oh. No, not exactly.
Okay. I can't read that from here, but.
Thank you. So yesterday's challenge was... There's a little more doo-doos for you there. Challenge. Reflect on quitting. So look at that. The last thing we talked about in our recap was also related to our challenge, which was our challenge was to reflect on one of two things. One, a time that you did quit something. And I wanted to emphasize that did not necessarily have to be a job. It could also be a person. It could be some activity.
Habit.
It could be a habit. It could be anything. And of course, we made a lovely reference to that Western movie, I Will Never Quit You, whatever that movie is called.
Brokeback Mountain.
Brokeback Mountain.
Which I didn't even know that was a quote from that.
Oh, you didn't? Oh,
no.
Nice. I will never quit you. And Danielle and I both mentioned we've never seen it. So let us know if we should see that. But the challenge was to reflect on that time that you quit and write something down. And we said you could do that journaling with paper and pencil or pen or on a computer, or you could also do a voice memo to just get things out. And we were really encouraging people, especially if you've never done it before, it's going to feel weird maybe. And you're maybe not going to want to do it. And you're maybe going to think you're not good at it and all these types of things. But guess what? None of that matters, and that's all to be expected. Like anytime you do something for the first time, it's going to feel weird, and you're not going to be great at it. Trust me, there's plenty of things that we've done as a company and as people that felt weird and we weren't great at it. But then we turned great at everything, so it all worked out. So the second side of the challenge was if you've never quit something, or even if you have, maybe there's something you want to reflect on possibly quitting today. Maybe there's someone in your life who's a toxic drain on your life, or maybe you want to be part of the great resignation as everyone tries to figure out what they want to do with their lives and say, I'm not working for the man anymore, or at least not that man, but maybe Batman. That would be cool. So without further ado, unless you have any other last things on yesterday, let us jump to our intro. Helpful for life. And we are back. Hello, welcome to What the Hell is Water? I am Reed Garcia, founder and CEO of Helpful for Life.
And I'm Danielle M Garcia, working on my novel.
And we are here as part of episode 96. Today is Wednesday, May 11th, 2022, which is also known as...
Oh, I thought you were talking about the year is also known as. I was like, I don't know what the year is.
The year of
the year of
tiger, snake, bear. Wednesday is also known as Hump Day.
Hump Day.
So today we have an interesting topic for you guys, which is us. I mean, we're just so interesting, aren't we, Danielle?
Always.
I jest, but one of the things that I wanted to make sure to do was let everyone know what Helpful for Life is, why we're doing, what we're trying to do, and go tell you about the future, and then also figure out how, or not figure out, let you know how you can help us. Because one of the beautiful things about Helpful for Life is our goal is to help average everyday people like you, and maybe you're better than average or worse than average, it doesn't really matter, but you're probably just a person. And if you're a robot, let me know in the chat. But we want to help you guys improve your lives, basically. And so the beauty of our company is that by helping us, you're helping us help you better and help other people better. And so it's a meaningful and valuable thing to do. So before I kind of dive into some of my spiel and some of my words, Danielle, when you tell people what Helpful for Life is, what do you like to kind of emphasize?
I think what I've been saying most recently. Well, now I'm like, oh gosh, elevator pitch. It always falls out of your head when you need it.
You should probably get tighter elevator cables. Well, while you noodle on that, I'll just go ahead and give kind of the quick and dirty overview for people who've never heard of Helpful for Life, and you can kind of noodle on that one for a second. So, Helpful for Life is the best education you never got. We teach people what they need to know that they didn't learn in school. Everything from finances to cooking to the fun stuff like drugs, sex, and alcohol. But that also includes a lot of more meaningful things like how to decide what you want to do with your life, how to live a purposeful life, how to have better relationships with your friends, with your family, with those darn stinking in-laws, which fortunately for me, my mother-in-law, she's just a gem. She helps us organize our closet. Diane, if you're listening, my pantry is ready to be organized now. But with Helpful for Life, we are aiming to get you guys engaged and learning and teaching you guys how to do things that, maybe you're already doing some things in your life, but you've never really thought about, how could I do this better? How could I do this faster? Or is this even the right thing to be doing? And so what our goal is to figure out all of the things, weed through all of the crap on the internet, talking to experts, all that type of stuff, tell you what you need to know, and then point you to solid sources for more info. So there's kind of the quick and dirty of the elevator pitch. Did you have anything that kind of popped into your head, or the cable's still falling?
No, I was just admiring what a great job you did.
Okay. So was that no saying nothing came to your head? Or?
Well, I've been saying we're like a content creation company where we're creating, we have our credit card guide, and basically I focus more on the products, I guess.
What? Okay, well then let's transfer over to that. So let's talk about what we have created so far. So take that part away.
So most recently we created our Learn to Cook to Impress a Date challenge, which was the week of Valentine's Day. So we kind of focused on cooking to impress a date, but really you can cook to impress your friends you want to have over, or yourself. Treat yourself to however many weekday meals you want to make. And we did something different every night, Monday through Friday, and now it's a 5-day free challenge. You can get the grocery list and meal plan in your inbox. So that was that one.
Nice. So Learn to Cook to Impress a Date, which you can go to learntocooktoimpressadate.com to join. And the nice thing about that is originally we did it for a week live every night, Monday through Friday. And if you want to keep that same pace, you can. You can do once a day. And as you may have mentioned, I might have missed it. We will give the grocery list and can tell people what they need to buy so they can cook along with us if they'd like. And that's a big thing about a lot of stuff that we teach. We highly encourage you guys to take action. You can learn all you want, but unless you're taking action, you're not moving forward as much as you could. So even if it's just a small step, and even if with the Learn to Cook to Impress a Date, you just do one little thing, that is moving forward. And of course, if you just want to watch it for now and kind of take the information in and then apply it later, that's cool too. But if you need a little nudge, do some of it. And the nice thing about the challenge is it comes to you straight to your email inbox, so you can pace it out how you want. So maybe you're too busy to do it all in 1 week. You can kind of do one day and one next week or whatever works for your pacing. Now, the reason we did Learn to Cook to Impress a Date was to help emphasize and point out some of the values of something else that we had created, which was what, Danielle?
Our course, Kickstart Your Kitchen. But now I'm overthinking, like, this is kind of what we talked about on Monday.
Well, guess what? This is an episode about what we've done and who we are and what we're trying to do. So why don't you tell people a little bit more about Kickstart Your Kitchen?
Cool. So we created this course from quarantine mostly. I guess we started in 2019, and then the vast majority of the course videos we filmed from our home kitchen while we were sheltering in place. And we created takeover.
No worries. Yeah, so Kickstart Your Kitchen is an online cooking course to help you revolutionize your cooking game in as little as a weekend. So it's a very comprehensive course. It's, I believe, the most comprehensive cooking course in the world, honestly, at least that's online, outside of some sort of culinary degree or something like that. But the beauty of it is we designed it from scratch with you in mind, with the average person in mind, because we recognize that, you know, when you're learning from the quote unquote masters, they've forgotten more than they remember, and they don't know what it's like to be in the early stages and what mistakes people make and things like that. So the nice thing about us is that we have a ton of knowledge ourselves, and when we were creating the course, we did a lot of research as well, because one thing that's really important to Helpful for Life is that things are data-backed and science-backed. As an electrical engineer, that's something that I came in and said is very important. Like, I don't want to be sharing things that we don't have some backing to them, right? And so we incorporated that into Kickstart Your Kitchen. And with Kickstart Your Kitchen, it's not just about the cooking. We start from the beginning, and with the beginning is your gear, and what else is in there?
So like taking stock of what you have in your kitchen already, and then like filling in the holes that you're missing for equipment and tools.
Yeah. So we take you from getting your setup all ready to go, to buying your food and meal planning, all the way to cleaning up, organizing, and things like that. So we created Kickstart Your Kitchen, and then another thing that we created was a credit card guide. And that credit card guide is called Swipe Right, the comprehensive credit card guide. And with Swipe Right, it started out as just a small little, hey, here's a little bonus thing for you guys as you're starting to learn about Helpful for Life and potentially get into Kickstart Your Kitchen. But then it kind of like Brittany's budding book, it just kind of blew up. As we were doing it, I was like, oh, if we're going to talk about this, we should talk about that. And it just kind of kept going, and didn't get to quite 90,000 words, but it was something like 30,000 or something like that. And so the way that it's an ebook is what it is, and it's completely free right now. That may change in the future, so I highly encourage you to jump on that. You can go to helpfulforlife.com/resources to grab that. But with Swipe Right, we have all of the different, maybe not all of them, but a bunch of different situations you may be in with credit. Maybe you've never even heard of credit. Maybe you've never had credit before. Maybe you had credit and you messed up. And now you're really big in the hole and you have a horrible credit score. But we start from the basics, and guess what? Even if you have a really good credit score, we talk about credit card points and rewards and ways that you can get more value out of your credit cards. And also a lot of the sneaky secret bonus things that credit cards give you that so few people take advantage of. So with Swipe Right, you can learn all of that and more. So please go check that out. And eventually we'll probably do some videos and other things around that too. So we did Kickstart Your Kitchen. We created Kickstart Your Kitchen. We created Swipe Right, the guide. Then we created a little something called What the Hell is Water? Do you remember when we first did that?
This feels like so long ago. I'm trying to think back.
Yeah, I think
September.
Yeah. Do you remember? Was it September?
I think so.
Yeah, somewhere in the fall, September, October, somewhere in there. But yeah, we started this show. What the hell is water? So for those of you who have never heard of What the Hell is Water, What the Hell is Water is a weekday morning talk show where we aim to teach you guys everything that doesn't. Well, let me try that again. Let me start off with the name of What the Hell is Water, because a lot of people are like, whoa, what is this? Is a show about water? It's like, no, not exactly. So there's a parable which is about two fishies swimming in the ocean, and then a fish swims back at them from the other direction and says, hey, how's the water today? And the two fish look at each other and say, what the hell is water? And the whole point of that is it's like they didn't even realize that they were swimming in water because it's all around them, much like air is all around us as humans, and you don't really think about it very much, but it affects your life every day, especially when you move to LA and you see that the air isn't quite as clear. And you wonder why Californians are a little more conscious of the ecosystem and environment and stuff. Well, it's because they can literally see the pollution flying in the air, which was a fun thing. You know, when we were driving into work, I was like, all right, can I see the Hollywood sign in the distance or not? And that's how I knew if it had rained recently, because when it rained, it cleared out all of the pollution. So with What the Hell is Water, we aim to teach you guys all of the things that are existing around you that you're not necessarily aware of, or even if you are, we tell you why it exists and how you can use it to your advantage. To go back to the water analogy, I like to think of, hey, we want to tell you guys where the EAC is, the East Australian Current, so you can get in there, use it to your advantage, and cruise along and take advantage of all the systems that are out there to help you, and also learn a little bit more about why people in your lives are acting the way they do and doing the things you do, and also helping you figure out a little bit more about yourself. So with What the Hell is Water and with Helpful for Life as a whole, one of the ways I've been saying it recently is that we want to help you guys figure out a handful of things. We want to help you figure out how to think again, think for yourselves. We want to help you remember, if you remember how to feel and how to know what your emotions are and how to handle them and how to deal with them. We want to help you create. We want to help you make things, and some of that may be ideas, some of that may be artistic endeavors, some of that may be businesses, whatever it is that you want to create. We want to help you get that spark and figure out where you want to go and how you can do it. And we also want you to get connected. We want you to get plugged into community. And of course, with Helpful for Life, we have plans to do a community of our own. But regardless of whether or not you end up getting plugged into the Helpful for Life community, we want to help you find a community yourself. Maybe that's online, maybe that's local, maybe that's both. I would encourage both, because one of the things that the pandemic taught a lot of us is, wow, how isolating it can be to be by yourself. And if there's one thing that being a solo entrepreneur had taught me before the pandemic even started, was how isolation can really, really harm you, and how it can make things a lot harder and it can mess with your head a lot. And a lot of that's because humans are by nature social creatures. And I know some people out there are like, oh, I'm an introvert, I don't ever need to see people, and I'm never going back to work, I'm always working remotely forever. Well, you may think that is what's best for you, but and there's definitely some of that that's good for you. But you need to also recognize that you get a lot of stuff from interaction with other humans. And so that's one of the things that we help you guys out with Helpful for Life. So we've created Kickstart Your Kitchen, Swipe Right, and now What the Hell is Water? But what are we doing? Where are we going? And what's next? So when it comes to what we're going to do next, the exciting thing is we are wanting to hear from you guys. We want to hear from the average Joe. What is it that you want to learn about next? We've got cooking, we've got finances, we've got some things on that. Do you guys want to dive deeper into those things? Or maybe you want to go into other topics. Maybe you want to talk about sex. Maybe you want to talk about drugs. Maybe you want to dive deeper into relationships. What anything that you want to dive deeper into, Danielle?
Psychic abilities.
Psychic abilities. I like that. Well, one other thing we might dive deeper into is this right here. What is this, Danielle?
Oh, so this is mint julep. I made it for an event on Monday evening, and Basically, just put bourbon and infused some simple syrup with mint leaves, fresh mint, and club soda and crushed ice. I think
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, so this past weekend was the Kentucky Derby.
Mm-hmm.
And as part of that, one of the fun things that we did was we went on a wine and whiskey walk here in downtown McKinney, which was great. We got to explore a handful of the shops here in downtown McKinney, try some wine, try some whiskey, including some mint juleps, which is kind of the main known drink for the Kentucky Derby, which is a horse race in America, in case those of you don't know about it. But that was also a fun chance for us to use some of our video skills and some of our interview skills and things like that. We actually filmed some content from that, and so we'll be sharing that with you guys in the future. And yeah, and that was just another chance for us to utilize a lot of the skills that we've worked on over the last few years with Helpful for Life. So when it comes to what's next, one of the things that we want to do is we want to experience some cool things and share them with you guys. So that includes things like the whiskey and wine walk, but it also includes some things like learning. For example, there's a local coffee roastery and a local coffee shop that we're in talks with. So we can show you guys, hey, how does coffee go from the beginning to your cup? And maybe you've never liked coffee before, or maybe you've been drinking it the same the whole time. But we want to go through that journey with you guys and show you what it looks like, how it can taste different, and encourage you guys to try some new things. That's another kind of big underlying theme within Helpful for Life, is helping you guys to explore and become curious and try some things that maybe you've never tried before, but also try some things that maybe you've tried once, but then you kind of judged. You know, like our title yesterday for Brittany was "Don't judge a," or was something along the lines of "Don't judge a book by its cover," because you know, you see a blonde woman who's, you know, now she's a brunette, but a blonde woman a blonde white woman, and it's like easy to judge her as some ditzy person. And it's like, then you get to know Brittany, and it's like, dang, this girl could verbally win anything. And so just like that, whether it be coffee or maybe, for example, you tried Indian food one time and you're like, I don't really like Indian food. Well, it's like, no, you probably just didn't like that one Indian dish. And oh, by the way, India is a big continent with all sorts of different foods, and we would potentially want to help you guys learn a little bit more about those things and try more of those things so you can dig into a little bit more of things that you don't know and maybe things you've never been exposed to before, and learn a little bit more about them. So I want to take a quick pause on Helpful for Life, though, Danielle, and I want to jump over to Danielle M Garcia. So why don't you tell people what Danielle M Garcia is, besides, I mean, obviously it's your name, but tell people a little bit about you and your business.
Yeah, so it's basically my personal blog and author website.
Nice. And what you say an author website? What kind of author stuff are you doing?
I might need a bathroom break.
Okay. Yeah, go for it. So while she's taking a bathroom break, I wanted to tell you guys that it's not every Wednesday that we have mint juleps in the morning, but since Danielle had prepared them so lovingly, we wanted to make sure they didn't go bad. So Wednesday morning whiskey just for you guys. Cheers. Mm. Which brings me to another thing that we need to do, which is get you better coasters. You guys know how much coasters often suck. As I lift up my cup, the coaster sticks to the bottom, and then the water pools off of it and pours all over my things. So that brings to one of the ways that you guys can help us. And that's one of the big sections that I wanted us to cover today, was what are the ways that you guys can help Helpful for Life do more and also thrive to help many other people throughout the world. So the first way is not the first way, not the most important way, but it's the one that got me to this segue, which is we like to tell you guys things in our life that help make our lives easier, better, run smoother, run faster, etc. And one of those things is telling you some products that we recommend. And for example, coasters. We're going to get us some new coasters that actually absorb and actually don't stick to your cup. And so one of the things we do is when we find things like that is we share something called an affiliate link with you. And that could, for example, be to a website like Amazon or maybe some other websites. But let's say that coaster costs $20. Whenever you buy the coaster, it still costs $20. It does not cost you anymore. However, we get a percentage of that sale from the seller. So in this case, Amazon. We get something like 3-5%, something like that, of that sale. So you buy that $20 coaster, for example, and we would get $1 or something like that. So at no additional cost to you, you are helping Helpful for Life get some money. And the other nice thing is that with Amazon and with some of these other sellers, it's not just on the item that we recommended, but it's on your entire cart. So if you happen to go buy those coasters and you're like, man, these coasters look really good, but you know what? They would look better on that new coffee table. And, when I'm putting my new coffee table, I need to be looking at a nice new TV. Well, that is a great time for you to add that coffee table, that TV, those surround sound speakers, maybe a new car. I don't know if Amazon sells cars, and I don't even know if we get any money from that. But all of those things that go into your cart, Helpful for Life can get a percentage of those things. Again, at no additional cost to you. And one of the things that's really important to both me personally, but also Helpful for Life as a company, is we are not going to recommend something to you that we would not recommend for ourselves, for our family, for our friends. We take that very seriously. And if there's ever something that you bought from a recommendation of ours that you're not a fan of, or it broke or had some sort of issue with, please let us know. So let us know what it is and why, so we can make sure to update our recommendations as needed. Now, of course, as with anything that's made, there are some times where the thing that is made just had an issue in manufacturing or something like that. And so don't completely judge everything if your one thing kind of broke, or maybe you misused it, which is another possibility too. But if there's something that's actually wrong with the thing, please let us know. Now, this is affiliate marketing, those are the fancy words for it. It can get kind of hairy in some places because you may have heard the term influencer, which is a fancy name for people with large followings, oftentimes, on Instagram or whatnot. And they'll say, oh, I'm wearing this, or I'm doing this, and you should totally get it. But we all know that the company's just paying them to say those things. Well, Helpful for Life is not going to take sponsorships that we do not agree with, that we do not fully get behind. So affiliate and buying some of the things that we recommend is one of the ways that you guys can help us. Of course, as we mentioned before, we also sell some things. So Kickstart Your Kitchen is the main thing that we sell right now, which is an online course. And that is a way for you to engage and for you to learn more. And the course right now, you can take, and like I said, you can do it in as little of a weekend if you really just want to crush it out. Or the nice thing is it's into a bunch of small chunks, all about 5 minutes or less. So you can do those wherever you are. On a bathroom break, let's be real. I know you guys are all spending about 15 minutes or so sitting on the toilet playing on your phone, or maybe you're in line, or maybe you're waiting for something. But you can just grab one of those videos and watch it and check it off. And the cool thing about the course is it tracks your progress, and you can see as you're doing more and doing more, you can watch the little percentage bar go across. So buying a course, and oh, by the way, we're going to be doing additional courses in the future. So one of the things we're working on right now is creating the little trailers and things like that to advertise what some of our new courses may be. And one of the things that we're really going to lean into in this phase of our business is figuring out what you are interested in most and what you guys want to work on. So what we're going to start doing is we're going to pre-sell some things, and we're also going to have some lists for people to sign up to indicate that they're interested in a topic. So just to drip out a couple of the things that we're talking about we may do, one is a course on DIY things. So you can figure out not just how to use tools, but also a lot of the things that you don't necessarily know or think about as you are working on something DIY. Because and they actually have a great example of that when we talked about how to install curtains. So that is in another episode, which we'll share in the chat. But it was myself and one of our other hosts, Ryder Richards, and we installed some curtains in our apartment here. And man, I knew it would be useful, and I knew there would be a lot of kind of in between knowledge in there, but there was a ton. And the thing is, and I learned this lesson in the RV. That's where, when we were in the RV, in case you didn't know, Danielle and I lived in an RV for a year. It's right there. And when you live in an RV, it's a house that moves and shakes, and it's like that house that experiences an earthquake every day. So you have the house things, water, electrical, furniture, cabinets, all that kind of stuff, and then you have a car thing or a truck thing, the engine, the oil, the belts, all that type of stuff, and then on top of that, you also have a generator. And so there's plenty of things that can go wrong, and there are plenty of things that can break. And whether it's a brand new RV or it's 20 years old like ours, there's going to be stuff that goes wrong. And so that was where I got a lot of my good experience, especially with cars. Before I moved in the RV, I had never even changed my oil. But so I did a lot of learning, and I did a lot of research online as I was trying to figure out what these things were to do. One great story I have was when I was trying to change our air conditioner. I was trying to fix our air conditioner, which broke in the middle of summer naturally, and we were in like New Mexico or Arizona or somewhere super hot. And we have a dog, so we're like, Danielle was like, please don't let Lincoln die. Uh-oh. I don't know what just happened. I heard a random noise in my ear. Guess it was nothing. Please don't let Lincoln die. So when I was changing the air conditioning unit, it was like, all right, or the motor in the air conditioning. It's very simple. You just, step one, remove the cover on the air conditioning unit. So I went to remove the cover. It's just 4 screws. All right, 1 out, 2 out, 3 out. The 4th one is not coming out. So then it's like, why is this screw not coming out? Oh, guess what? The thing it was screwed into isn't there. It's just rotating with it. So then I had to figure out, how do you get that out? And oh man, the nice thing about the RV is I could just park it in the Home Depot parking lot. And so I would try something, look a video up online, look something up on forums and things like that. And then I'd go into Home Depot, get what I needed, come back out. And I spent a way too long trying to figure these things out. And then I got the cover out finally. And then it came to the next part, which was, okay, take the motor part out. Well, when I went to take the motor part out, it was rusted on. I couldn't get the freaking thing off. So then I had to figure out, okay, how do I remove rust? And then I found out, oh, well, when you're removing rust, it depends on what the material is, because if it has this stuff in it, then you want to use this type of thing. But if it has this stuff in it, then you need to do something else. So then it continued that way for a couple of steps. And what these 4 simple steps were really got really complicated very fast. And so that's a big part of what the value of Helpful for Life provides is we don't just give you the 4 simple steps. Yeah, you have the 4 simple steps, and if the screws happen to come out easy and the motor comes off easy and everything else is easy, then you're good, you're golden. But if you run into issues, or even before you run into issues, we're going to say, hey, for example, while you're hanging your curtains, you need to watch out for this metal frame, because you don't want to just try and screw into it, because it's not going to work very well unless you do certain things, which actually happened to one of our friends as he was trying to install curtains and led to him not installing his curtains. And now it's been months, maybe a year, he says. And so the nice thing about how we teach, and a big thing that I've noticed is, as I've been doing tons of learning myself over the last few years, is a lot of the value comes from the in-between. So, for example, in this episode today, maybe you think 90% of this stuff is crap, but there's 10% in there and the in-between where it's like, you know what? I never actually thought about intentionally improving my DIY skills, and maybe that could help me on those days where I'm spending 4 hours trying to fix the toilet. Or maybe when I'm trying to hang the curtain, or whatever it may be. Well, learning from us, the beauty is we're extremely comprehensive, and we think of so many things. I'm not going to say everything, but then we want to hear from you guys. And this is one of the big ways that you guys can help, is talk with us and engage with us and tell us, what are the problems that you're going through? What are the things that you're striving to do? Maybe you're like, hey, I'm thinking about remodeling my house. We've been in our house for almost 20 years, and I think our master bathroom is due for a remodel. What are the things that I should think about? What are the things I should know? And, everything from, because guess what? There are a lot of decisions. I mentioned this one because my parents are doing this right now, and there's so many decisions to make, and it's a multi-week process. And it's like, okay, What do I want to do for lighting? Not just where are they going to go, but are they going to be LEDs? Are they going to be halogen? What about color temperature? What the heck does that mean? There's this K, there's these thousands, and and then do I make it a smart home thing? And what colored fixtures do I get? I mean, there's ones that I like, but in 10 years, are they still going to be in style? Like all of these things and so much more are the types of things that we think through and we help you guys figure out. That being said, one of the biggest things that we want and need right now at this stage with Helpful for Life is engagement from you guys. We want to hear what it is that you want. We want to hear what it is that you're trying to do. We want to hear what you're struggling with so we can help you. And I don't just mean you as in like the greater you. I'm talking to you right now who is listening to this video. So please comment below. You can go to helpfulforlife.com and in the top right, hit contact us and tell us what it is that you're working on or what you want to do. And we will help you do it. And I think a lot of people don't really take me at my word for that, but trust me, we will. If we can't help you directly, we can point you to sources of where you can be helped. Like I said, weed through all the crap, tell you what you need to know, and point you to solid sources for more info. So let's talk about some other ways to engage. Of course, commenting and things like that is part of it. But another way is actually doing the courses themselves, and doing some of the work themselves. And one cool thing is if you want to figure out some way to do a little better, improve yourself, things like that, is What the Hell is Water has actually provided a framework for you to do that. Now we're at episode 96, and every single episode, not only are we teaching, not only are we engaging with you guys, and not only are we, being just hilarious and beautiful and drinking whiskey on Wednesdays, but every episode we include a challenge. And that's just one small thing you can do that day to make your life a little bit better. And that is one small thing because we've recognized and we understand and we want to teach you guys that it's much more sustainable for you to be making small steps every day or every week to move forward gradually and slowly instead of trying to shoot all the way for this high goal, set this goal that we're going to do. Oh, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in 3 months or whatever it may be. And then trying to do that, fall short, feel bad about yourself, and then never do it again. Or try again and just keep failing and failing and failing. Which reminds me of one other thing that we have in the works, which is changing your relationship with food. We are going to work with a nutritionist to have a course that is a companion to Kickstart Your Kitchen, where we talk specifically about, hey, when you look at food and your diet and things like that, how can you make a sustainable change to your diet to help you do the things you want to do, help you be healthy, help you not do what's called a yo-yo diet, which is kind of like what I was talking about just now, where you're like, oh, I'm going to crash diet and then go back to everything else and gain the weight back and just keep going back and forth. And also, we'll talk a lot about how important is weight when it comes to healthiness. And the reality is, it's some people here in America, especially, where there's fad diets all the time, and everyone's always talking about weight and all these types of things. Well, of course, the secret is out. There's overemphasis on those things, and reality is you need to figure out some sustainable way that you can eat some of the things that you like, if not all of the things that you like, but do it in a way to where you can do that forever, right? So that's one of the things that we'll be helping you guys out with that course. So, let me check my notes here for a second. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, okay. So, one of the interesting things about growing an online business right now is that there are certain requirements before you can do things. So, for example, and when I say requirements, I mean like on the platform. So, for example, we right now are streaming on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook. And however, we also want to stream on LinkedIn, Instagram, and maybe one other spot that I'm not thinking of right now. Oh, TikTok, yes. But in order to be able to do things on these other platforms, we have to have a certain number of followers or subscribers. And so, for example, with YouTube, until we have 500 subscribers, we cannot send out what's called a community post. So whenever we went on our little hiatus with What the Hell is Water a few weeks back, we couldn't just share a simple message with all of our followers saying, hey, we're going to take a break for a while to work on some things, and then we're going to come back. We couldn't do that because we didn't have 500 followers. And personally, I think this sucks, frankly. And there's a little bit of the chicken egg thing. Like, hey, how am I supposed to engage with my community and grow if I can't have the tools I need to help do that? But that's the reality we're in. Of course, one of the beautiful things that we recognize at Help for Life is you are all part of many bad systems, or systems at least that you don't agree with, but you got to live with them, figure out how to work with them. And of course, you can work to try and change them as well if you'd like. So with YouTube, we need to get to 500 subscribers. With LinkedIn, before we can stream on LinkedIn, we need 150 followers. And with TikTok, I think we need 1,000 followers. So one of the things that we're working on right now is trying to get those followers and subscriber counts up to the point where we can do the posts and share the things that we want to do. And on top of that, some of getting these additional followers and subscribers is getting enough people to be engaged with the brand so we can start figuring out more of what you guys want to do. We can start teaching more about what you guys want to hear. And another big thing is, as we're teaching you guys, maybe it's on the curtain, maybe it's on cooking, maybe it's on whatever else, we want to hear your real life stories, your real life experiences about what went well, what didn't. Because guess what? If you're having those things go good, bad, or otherwise, then someone else probably is having those same things. And so they can learn from you. So don't underestimate how valuable that is. So, lost my train of thought. Yes, engaging with us through the courses. What's up? Let me just wet my whistle here a little again. All right. Yes. Okay. So I was talking about getting followers, subscribers. Another thing is just starting to get that critical mass to where essentially the way a lot of these algorithms work is they show our content to a certain number of people. And then if it starts to get a certain amount of engagement, the algorithm thinks people are going to like it. It's going to help that company achieve whatever they're trying to accomplish. So for example, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, one of the things that they like to see is what's called time on platform. They want to have people viewing things on their platform more. So if you guys are on YouTube, for example, and you're watching our stuff, and then after you watch one thing, you go to watch the next thing, and then you share something and things like that, that is all good signs that you are engaging with the content and engaging with the platform. So they start to then elevate that message, and they say, hey, wow, we've had a handful of people start to look at this. Let's show it to more people, and then show it to more people, and show it to more people. So by us growing our following and by us growing the number of people who are looking at things, that helps us to get that traction we need to get a significant enough following to where we can more meaningfully share things and also have more voices to hear as we're doing things like polls where we're trying to find out, hey, should we do this or should we do that? So in addition to following and subscribing, one of the other ways you can help us is by sharing our stuff. So when you share our stuff, the nice thing about that is you are going to pick one or maybe a group of people, or maybe you share it on your social media to go to all of your people and saying, hey, here's something that I find valuable. Here's something I find useful. Please check it out. I think it would be useful to you as well. Now, of course, I welcome any and all sharing that you would like to do, but I think the most impactful sharing comes when you do it with a small group or an individual. So maybe there's someone in your life as you're watching a What the Hell is Water episode. Maybe you're watching one of the ones we did on relationships. So we'll drop the playlist for that one in the chat, which is relationships. Yes, it's romantic relationships like with a significant other, but it's also friend relationships, boss relationships, family relationships. So we have a whole series that we've done on that with one of our experts, Eric Wooten. And those can help you have better relationships in your life. So maybe as you're doing that, you want to send that to your significant other or your spouse or your boss or your friend. And you say, hey, I've been watching these things. I've been thinking about this. And maybe, for example, I think I need to put some boundaries in my life. Like, for example, maybe I feel like you are trying to control me a little bit too much. And I think that I would like to have a little bit more freedom and feel less like I need to ask permission of things. We may have heard the term in relationships where, oh, they're whipped. And, sure, there may be some good things that come from this, but also sometimes it goes a little bit too far. So maybe you are the one who's whipped, or maybe you're the one who's doing the whipping, or maybe you have a friend who's doing whipping. Or maybe you're just into whipping, which we'll do a future BDSM episode because that just needs to happen. But also share the specific episode on boundaries, because I think we all could use a little more boundaries in our lives. And if you haven't set them then, or at least haven't set them in a while, it's weird to know like what that's like. And how do you do that without hurting the feelings of the person you're working with? Maybe it's with your parent. It's like, hey, Mom, the way that you're engaging with me, like I don't really like that. So here's what I'm gonna say. It's like, all right, I don't want you to do this, and when you do this, then I'm going to leave the room, or I'm gonna say, hey, you know what, this conversation is not going where I like, so I'm gonna hang up for now, and we can talk again, soon. So we have an episode just on that, so you can start to figure out how do you do that in a way where you don't hurt each other's feelings, but you do it in a way that actually helps you achieve what you need to achieve and to be healthy. No square. Is that the name of the? Yes, the episode is something along the no square. Yeah, which is a fun reference to this is my no square. For those of you who have not heard that, you're welcome. All right, so let me make sure that I got a couple of things in here that we wanted to make sure to talk about. Oh, all right. So another way that you guys can help us, and we are working on updating our website to make sure to include this, is straight up money. I'm not going to sugarcoat it at all. Money is a tool, and it is a tool that helps us do a lot of the things that we want to and need to do. And some of that is paying people for services. So for example, we are doing tons and tons of video work. And even right now, like we have multiple video projects that are just sitting on our hard drives because we don't have the bandwidth to go work through them and to edit them. And so it would be great to be able to spend some money to help get some help to edit those videos. So for example, one of the fun videos that we have in progress is whenever we went on a trip, Kenny and I went on a trip to Denver. And the night before we left for Denver, I called a friend of mine who does video work, and I was like, hey, what do you think about, this is 8 p.m. on a Saturday. I said, hey, his name's Dan. I said, hey, Dan, I have a crazy idea. We're going to Denver tomorrow, and I was wondering what you think about driving with us to Denver, which is about a 12-hour drive, by the way. And then we'll fly you back on Monday. And while you're there, while we're driving up, we want to film a documentary in a day. So that's what we did. Dan was an awesome guy, and he's like, let me check with the significant other, make sure that's okay. And then he did, and he's like, I'm in. Let's do it. So the next day we took off on an adventure, and we filmed a documentary in a day, and now we just need to edit a little bit. Initially, the plan was to edit it on that drive, but honestly, Dan was someone we didn't even know that well. We had spent about, I don't know, maybe 4 hours with him at one evening. And so one of the great things about that trip was we got to know Dan so much better. And it is the first road trip I've ever been on where I didn't listen to music the entire ride. It was over 12 hours and the radio was never on. And one of the ways we realized this was when we got there and my friend pointed out, like, hey, that's still on 97.1, which is a Dallas station. And it's been off the entire time. Like, that's how you know this was a good trip and there was a lot of great conversation. Another thing that was really valuable about that trip was we got to collaborate with somebody else. And that was our first opportunity to work kind of in a creative pursuit, utilizing a lot of the skills that we've gained over the last few years. So some of that was doing video work, some of that was doing audio work. And also another thing was, we have this lovely studio that we have set up here in our apartment, but when things are just on their tripods, it's you're not using them in your hand. You're not changing the settings. You're not trying new things. You're not exploring. And so that trip to Denver was an amazing trip for us to explore a little bit more, to get more comfortable with the gear, to try out new settings and things like that, and for us to, really hone our skills and hone our craft. And by doing that, it's enabled us to be able to, on a whim, just start creating something right away. So that's how this past weekend, with our wine and whiskey walk, the day before, we said, hey, we see this wine and whiskey walk, and I think it's a really cool thing. And oh, by the way, you have an amazing brand story. Like, I would love to help do some video on that. And they're like, we don't have anyone doing video, so sure, come on. And the next day we went and we just did it. And if there's one thing that I like the most about, and of course, I'm probably going to change this later, but one of the things that I like the most about what I've personally done over the last 5 years is I've developed skills that I never even thought I would do. I'm an electrical engineer by training. That's what I went to school for. But now I've hosted over 97 live stream shows. I've live streamed a professional chef cooking as a form of fundraiser for a local nonprofit. I've done additional video work for this local nonprofit, which I got engaged with because of the work I was doing. So that allowed me to get plugged into the nonprofit and the volunteering world again, which I hadn't done for years. In addition to this, I've met so many really cool people. So that people's plural. That's been one of the things that I don't take for granted, and I know is going to pay out many, many dividends going into the future years. Is just the number of people that I've met and the amazing energy that I've felt as people who are trying to create things in the world. And one of the best things I ever did was got plugged into a community called SPI Pro. And SPI stands for Smart Passive Income. And if you've never heard of Smart Passive Income or passive income at all, one of their phrases is, we want you to work, I'm going to butcher it, of course, but it's like, work hard now to reap the benefits later. And so Smart Passive Income, you go to smartpassiveincome.com if you're curious about this. There's a podcast and many other ways to learn. But the whole idea is you do some work today and you create a thing. And then that thing, whether it's a business or an online course or a piece of art or whatever it may be, a book, you create that thing. And then you let that thing and you set up systems around that thing to where you can make money from that thing when you're not actively working on it. Because one of the things that we have, especially here in America, but really across the world, is so much of our jobs are related to time. And it says, hey, you come work here for this hourly rate. And when you put in this time, we will pay you this amount of money, which is great. I'm not trying to poo-poo that at all. But there is also something to be said about recognizing and realizing the value of the work that you did a long time ago. And so that's been one of the great things for me, especially in the last few months, is all of the things I've been doing in the background as I've been creating this company, Helpful for Life, over the last 5 years, are starting to come to fruition. I'm starting to see these systems play out. I'm starting to see the benefit of, for example, when we needed to make another website, I actually had a step-by-step guide on how to create that website, and I was able to give it to Danielle, and she was able to create a new website without any help from me. And that's one of the reasons why Helpful for Life has taken a while to incubate and a while to come to where it is today and where we're about to go, is because over the last 5 years, I've been developing all of these skills. Again, I started as an electrical engineer, didn't have any of these skills. I was by myself, and so I was learning a lot of these things as I was going. And then on top of that, I'm recording and I'm creating processes and things like that. So that way, as we grow, as we expand, I can hand over these processes to new people and say, hey, we need someone to do video editing. Here, I'm going to give you these things that tell you, okay, on this step do this, on this step do this, and on this step do that. And one of the ideas I've been toying around with, still don't know if I'm going to do it yet or not, is I'm thinking about training everybody as if you were to be an employee for us. And that isn't just so you can work for us, but it's so you guys can develop the skills needed to create content like this, to run a company like this. And I had this thought the other day when I had a friend who was coming over and he was starting to help us with something that we're doing, because one of the challenges of What the Hell is Water is that it's an hour long. And naturally, when people click on something that's an hour long, they have some hesitation and they're like, oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to commit a whole hour to that. Is it really worth my time? Well, one of the things that we knew this from the beginning, and one of the reasons that we created this whole clipping system that we talked a little bit about yesterday or the day before, is we want to grab these smaller chunks. Maybe they're funny, maybe they're just like a good standalone quote, maybe they're something you can learn from in a smaller chunk. We want to grab those and get them out onto the platform so people can start to engage with them and you have easier things to share. So when you are sharing things, definitely make sure to share any of the short things that we do that you guys resonate with, because guess what? Your friends are probably more likely to watch those. Or if you're sharing an episode of What the Hell is Water, you can give them a timestamp, and you can do that actually function within YouTube to share something with the timestamp. And you could say, hey, starting at 8 minutes, there's a part that I really resonated with, and I think you would like to. And so then you can share that, and people can listen to that clip, and maybe they'll keep going, maybe they'll keep listening more, or at the very least they'll listen to that one clip. So when I had my friend over here and I was helping him to create some of these clips and from our episode, I was like, well, as I'm teaching you the things you need to know to do this, maybe I'll just end up recording these things, and I'll end up sharing those things so more people can learn how to do these things. And as more people learn how to do these things, not only will that potentially help not What the Hell is Water, but What the Hell is Water and Helpful for Life, but it'll also help somebody else develop new skills, and maybe that will help them do something else that they want to do, either professionally in their life or maybe just kind of for fun on the side as a hobby. Or maybe they're just good people and they want to help do good things, which we like all of those things. And so I still kind of TBD on what exactly we're going to do or how we're going to do that. But it reminded me of one other thing that's really interesting about Helpful for Life. The cool thing about Helpful for Life is that as we've been doing this, as we've been developing our company, especially as we've brought on our first hire, Kenny, and as Danielle's ramped up to do a little bit more with us, as she's splitting time between her own personal brand and Helpful for Life, we are recording a lot of our conversations behind the scenes. Because one of the things I think is fascinating is, what does it take to build a business in 2022? And so you can hear, like, what are some of the conversations? What are some of the things that we're considering as we're creating this content, as we're trying to decide what we're going to do, as we're trying to decide who should we partner with, what sponsors should we consider or not consider, what do we do about finances, what do we do about working with, I'm working with now my spouse and my best friend. How do we protect those relationships while still getting work done? There are a lot of really interesting conversations, and one of the podcasts I was inspired by is called Startup. It's a podcast by Gimlet Media, which we'll share a link to that in the chat. And the first season of that was talking about how a guy was leaving public radio and he wanted to create a podcasting company of his own. And since he had been in public radio for so long, he knew how to record things. And so as he was going to create that company, he started recording those conversations. He said, oh, well, here's my conversation with a potential investor. Here's a conversation with my wife as I'm, talking about making this jump. And I just found it so fascinating to listen to the behind the scenes and the thought process behind what went into it. And so after season 1, maybe after season 2, they started to do similar things for other companies. So I really like that concept, and I really like that idea, and I wanted to do some of that ourselves with Helpful for Life. And again, this is one of the areas where having some additional people on our team would be valuable, because we have a lot of that stuff already recorded. A fun little story for you. One of the cool things that we had recorded, was when our first employee quit his job. He quit his full-time job to come work for Helpful for Life. And if you need a testimonial for the power that Helpful for Life can give you, well, this person went from a year ago, last March, and said, when I went to him and approached him and said, hey, what do you think about coming to work for this company? And I knew at that point, like, he was going to be pretty hesitant, pretty risk averse kind of guy. And he's like, oh, I'm not going to go do that. Like, I would never do that. And I was like, look, I know you're going to say you're never going to do this, but here's an offer letter so you can see what it would be like. And I want to show you that I'm serious. So that began that conversation. And then over the following months, we talked more. We started to do a little bit more work together. He ended up taking off a couple of days of work to come work at Helpful for Life to see, hey, how can we work together? Hey, can we protect our relationship? Is this thing worth betting on? Is this thing worth me taking that risk? And that led to him. His name's Kenny. You can see him on our website. His title is Lieutenant Dan. You can go find out what that is on helpfulforlife.com. And he then quit his job. And he quit his job to come work for Helpful for Life. And even more so, he went from going risk averse to, hey, I'm going to go work for this company, and the compensation structure is not even firmly defined yet. And he was confident enough to make that decision because, one, he saw what we were doing at Helpful for Life. He believed in the vision. He believed what we were doing. But also, he felt a lot of that change himself. And he saw the changes he was making in his life and how he thought and how he felt and how he dealt with the people around him. And he realized that those were all things moving in the positive direction. Now, as with life, it's not always just in the positive direction. So it's going to go a little bit up and down, but generally was trending upwards. And we will, I'm sure, hear more about that some other day, but just wanted to add that little tidbit in there for you. All right. So I had another thing that popped in my head. So here we are. One of the other things that is really going to help us grow as a brand is getting me and Helpful for Life in front of existing audiences. So this can come to fruition in any number of ways. Say, for example, you are a content creator of some sort. You are online, whether it be Instagram, YouTube, or whatnot, or you have a website of your own, an email list. I would love to come partner with you and create something. I would love to be interviewed by you. I would love to create something for you. Anything I can do to help your audience, I would love to do. On top of that, though, for those of you who aren't involved in this online world, there are plenty of things that I can do and would love to do for you guys in the plain old real world. For example, if you have a group that you would like for me to come talk with, either virtually or in person, if you have an organization that you would like some lesson towards or something like that, if you are involved with somebody in media, whether it be radio, magazine, newspaper, TV, any of those types of things, we are ready to come to you guys, provide value to you and your audience, and of course, hoping to get in exchange just a little bit of engagement with Helpful for Life. So want to encourage you guys to, if you know somebody or if you yourself are in a position around these things, please reach out to us. Hit the contact us button in the top right, or get in the comment section of whatever platform you're on right now, and we can start that conversation. So I know I started to also talk about the money. I can't remember exactly what I said, but the main thing with the money, and we're going to have a website to make it easy for you guys to just give us money. But one of those things, I don't know, lost my train of thought on that one. All right, I think we are at a good point for today, but I want to tell you guys a little bit more about what's coming up tomorrow, because tomorrow is a really exciting episode for me, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's definitely not as meta and not about us as today is. Tomorrow's episode is about the 10 movies that everyone should see. So I've talked with 3 of my friends, and I said, hey, you are someone who's involved in movies or TV, or you've been a big fan of them for a while, or maybe that's something you studied at school, or maybe you're an actor. And actually, those are the 3 types of people that I have reached out to, and they are going to be on the show tomorrow morning. And I said, hey, what are the 10 movies that you think everyone should see? And I left the prompt at that. I didn't say any additional clarification. I didn't say, oh, make sure to do this, or make sure to get a good representation of genres, or make sure to focus on things that are going to make people's lives better, or things you just think are funny or awesome or whatever. That's it. I just said, what are 10 movies you think that everyone should see? And so tomorrow we're going to dive into that live, and we're going to have each of those 3 people tell us what their 10 movies are, and we're going to discuss. And of course, naturally, I want to also hear from you guys, and maybe you have a list of 10 movies, so you could share that with us, but also want to hear what you think about the movies that we're suggesting. And that is going to start out as a What the Hell is Water episode, but it's potential that if there's interest there and if we're feeling it, we may turn that movie and TV show thing into a show of its own or a segment of its own on What the Hell is Water. Because if there's one thing we know that a lot of us are doing, especially here in America, it's watching streamed things, Netflix, movies, TV shows, all that type of stuff, Hulu, all of the various things. And we want to help you guys weed through all of the thousands of options out there and tell you, like, hey, these are the ones that you should check out, and here's why. So we look forward to that episode tomorrow. So for a challenge for today. So let me check 1 second. Make sure what this thing was from the other day. And I like that. Yeah, Kenny's making a good point. He says the quitting challenge yesterday, which we recapped at the beginning of this episode. One of the things that's okay to quit is a TV show that is no longer worth it. There are a lot of shows that, especially after a couple of seasons or maybe even the middle of a season, I said, you know what, I'm not even feeling that one anymore, so I'm just not going to watch it. Another thing is to be okay to stop that habit. If maybe every day you come home and you sit down and you watch something streamed, maybe it's okay for you to say, you know what, I'm going to try something else for a week, and I'm not going to watch anything streamed at all. So that's a good little thing for that. But for today's challenge, on Monday we had the challenge for people to go subscribe or follow us somewhere. But today I want the challenge to be for you to share this with somebody. Not even this, it can be this, but it can also be anything else that Helpful for Life has created. We encourage you guys, you could share kickstartyourkitchen.com. On kickstartyourkitchen.com, there are, I think, 4 or so videos. You could share any one of those. You could go into our YouTube. You could share one of the videos from the Learn to Cook to Impress a Date challenge. You can go and look at our playlist on YouTube, and maybe you want to share, for example, and we'll put a link to this in the chat now, our conversation with Alexandra Mannerings. She's our data analyst who helps say, hey, how do I take these sciencey things? How do I interpret these headlines that say things like, oh, coffee causes cancer or whatever it may be? How do I know if these things are true, and how do I distill that information for myself? And how do I, take in data? Oh, COVID is, of course, a huge conversation where if you didn't care about science before, well, science introduced itself into your lives within the last few years. How do you interpret that and do something with it and understand in a meaningful way how that should apply to your life and what you should believe? Maybe you want to share that. Maybe you want to share a certain episode of What the Hell is Water. Maybe you want to share a certain clip from What the Hell is Water. And of course, we're also on Instagram, Facebook, and other various social media, and TikTok. So maybe you want to go to one of those and you want to share something from that. Or maybe you just want to share helpfulforlife.com and you want to say, hey, this is a cool company and I think you guys would be interested in it. You should go check it out. So your challenge for today is share something from Helpful for Life, and also encourage that person to engage in some way, whether it be a comment or sending us something through our website's contact page, or by simply following or subscribing. So by you guys doing that, by you guys amplifying our message, it's going to help us be a lot more successful so we can help you guys achieve what you want to do in your lives. And with that, I think we will wrap it up. As a quick recap for today, we started off by telling you guys a little bit of our story and a little bit about what we've done so far and the things we've created. Kickstart Your Kitchen, Learn to Cook to Impress a Date challenge, Swipe Right, the credit card guide, What the Hell is Water. And we also talked about the future and some of the things that we want to work on. We want to create additional videos, of course. We want to create additional courses. We want to figure out what it is that you are struggling with or something that you are striving for and help you achieve it. And the number one way you guys can help us do that is to engage with us. Tell us what it is that you're looking for, what it is you're trying to do, what it is you're struggling with, so we can help you. And another way you can help us, help you, and help more people is to subscribe and follow us on all of our platforms and to share our stuff, which is our challenge for today. So please share our stuff. But with that, I will bid you adieu and have a wonderful rest of your hump day. Hump day! Hump day!
you.